Welcome, family. I wanted to dive into house cleaning items that I believe that's important for the community. As we are fighting, demanding, and showing power to the system that owes us reparations, there's a lot of housekeeping that we must need. And this is somewhat of a different direction than you think I may go. We know that we have a lot of coons and sambos in our midst. We have a lot of people who are not pro reparations. Some of them are even anti reparations, and they are considered foundational Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. But the thing that kind of chaps my hide is that we most focus on ourselves. There's a lot of things that we can be emphasizing within the Black community because we understand that our community has always been a source of resiliency and incredible strength. We have been through so much, our people, no matter what part of foundational Black Americans. Through history, we face countless challenges, and we have always risen and overcame everything that the system of white supremacy has thrown our way. Whether it be the times of our ancestors during the civil rights movement, day-to-day advocacy, creating reparations task force. We've done so many things, but there's a focus that's being shifted and blame is being shifted, rightfully so. But there is accountability, but we must do within our own house. There's a lot of cleaning up we have to do, and this is more of a personal matter. This is not so much for talking about, illegal immigration, the system of white supremacy, how they use illegal immigration as a tactic, and all other slew of racial disparities that our people go through. This is more so focused on you and I, because let's just address the elephant in the room. Economic disparities, okay, economic disparities for far too long, systematic racism, that held us back a great deal. But it's important to employ strategies that help us break free from the chains of what we know as economic injustice. One powerful tool has always been education, education of oneself, education of laws and politics, or just being aware of such a thing. This is very important. Encouraging our young ones to excel academically and explore STEM fields and become entrepreneurs. Now, I know that's going to take economic growth in some areas within the Black community. We at least have to form and motivate our youth in order to do these things. And feel family, the innovation, technology, and inventions that our people once have done over a course of time, we must instill that same fire and motivation in our children. Yeah, we got to do some house cleaning, family. House cleaning should be in full effect. We should not be waiting around, waiting for this government to give us what we are owed. We should still be out there grinding the gears, getting it out the mud, and always on our business. We can get easily distracted with everything that's going on in America, with race soldiers committing hate crimes, all the smoke and mirrors that they show about our community and what we are and what we are not, and this blanket discrimination that we see on all accounts, family. But let's focus on education for a second, and then dwell into how it's important to encourage our youth to do the right thing. We have to start getting right in the home with our kids. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. The second thing is encouraging them, if you have it within your bandwidth, if you have it within your finances, to encourage them to be entrepreneurs, to invest inside of Black businesses, to invest inside of Black communities, right? And yes, more times than not, if you're successful, there's not too many prominent Black neighborhoods. There are a couple. Some of them are in Houston. Some of them are in California. I believe there's a couple maybe in New York in the different barrels. But we do have Black communities and Black neighborhoods that are doing economically well, I would say. But we need more of that. And it's going to take us to invest inside of those businesses. We need to have a bigger footprint in the community. Community engagement. That's very vital in our housekeeping of getting our own personal messes in order. That way, when things start to fill out for us, we won't have issue with anything that's going on with us personally. Because we have a lot of personal issues within the Black community. And some of us, not all, outward the reasons why we're not successful. White supremacy has had their foot on our neck for a very long time. But that doesn't mean we don't continue to try to give up. We don't continue to try to do better. We must be in the midst of all of this evil. We have to. We have no other choice. We're not just going to lay down and die. We're not doing that. We're not going to do that. We have to understand that education empower our individuals and empower our youth and empower ourselves, not only to be educated in the different markets that we have in America, but international markets as well. Because we're talking about entrepreneurship, we're talking about investments, we're talking about self-empowerment. But see, the journey towards self-empowerment is not a marathon. Excuse me, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we have to have the strength, the intelligence, we have to know our history and know how resilient we are. But most importantly, a lot of people are not really talking about this. We have each other. We're not going to agree on everything. We may not coincide hand in hand in everything, but there's a form of unity that the Black community has always had that has been rapidly dissipating. It's been rapidly dissipating. Now, of course, it's always been lingering. It's been festering for quite some time, but now it's on a sharp decline, and we have to do house cleaning to empower ourselves, to empower our youth, and to empower our community. Because we know all the disparities, we know all the discriminations and biases and things that occur to our people in this country. But we have to come together and support one another and really build a legacy of empowerment. Because when you look at a family, it's just not about escaping poverty. It's not just about escaping poverty. It's about building generational wealth for one, fostering self-awareness, and reshaping the narrative of Black Americans. Because even with all the lies of the system of white supremacy, the numbers are grossly the number are grossly inaccurate, but nonetheless, those numbers in some regards are true. And there's no way we're gonna get it down to zero. But again, this is about house cleaning. Again, outwardly, we can always blame the system of white supremacy. We can always blame racism. We can always blame systemic problems. But we do have to take self-accountability of oneself. Okay, we're not going to forget. We're not going to forego, revoke, rebut any of those things that have occurred and are still occurring. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to tell it like it is. We're going to tell it like it is. Now, Chicago, for my brothers and sisters in Chicago, you know that I think one of your aldermen proposed some sort of legislation that will fine parents. Listen to this. Hold up. Look at this news thing right here. I'm not going to read this verbatim, fam, but I am going to make you aware. They're proposing to charge people in Chicago, parents in Chicago, for unruly kids. For unruly kids. Now, we know the population of Chicago, when it comes to Black folk, I don't know the numbers, family, but we know Chicago, they call it a Black city. So I would like to believe the majority of the of the resident, or at least half of the residents, are Black. Okay, a large portion. So who are you going to think that affect the most? Who do you think that's going to affect the most? And yes, a lot of this is going to be exoteric, but if your family is impoverished and you're coming out of a one-parent household, they stated that 80% of men, that are in prison come from a one-parent household. So if mom or dad is at work and you come from a one household, and Junebug and them, they hook in school, and let's say they breaking windows, you mean to tell me the single parent have to pay $5,000? So again, when we look at these things, there's a lot of things that I can essentially pull up here. I'm trying to get this news story for you guys, but there's some of these things that we definitely need to understand. There's some house cleaning to do, family. There's some house cleaning to do. We can't blame everything. Now, let me back up. The sources of our problem is from racism and the system of white supremacy. But that should not be an excuse of us not being successful. Because we have successful black people who do not play sports and who are not in entertainment. We have successful black people in STEM. We have successful black people in real estate. We have successful black people in infrastructure. We have successful black people in government contracts. We have successful black people in banking, right? These are a lot of things we need to think about. But let me get back to the house cleaning items very quickly. We're talking about Chicago and them proposing legislation to charge parents $5,000 if you have an unruly kid. So let's talk about some of the benefits. Yeah, family, there's benefits and there's some drawbacks and disadvantages, but the benefits of such a policy encourages parents to take a greater responsibility for their child's behavior. And that's going to make them accountable. That's going to make them accountable with discipline. What about behavioral improvement? When you think about it, the financial consequences will motivate parents to address their behavioral issues from their children. And that should lead to favorable outcomes. Or you just want to give your child to the state. And where I come from, black people don't just normally give up their children. And there's another benefit. What about resources? Because there's a great amount of revenue that be generated from this because of the fines, and those monies, those funds can be allocated to programs that serve the youth, addressing the root cause of the delinquent behavior. And out of this money, the $5,000, they can create development programs and provide mental health services. But Chicago is putting legislation to charge parents $5,000 for unruly kids. I mean, I thought I would never see it, but I mean, those are some of the benefits that I initially see. But here's some drawbacks. These fines will, if this legislation is passed, these fines will, not possibility, they will affect black Chicagoans, and if this catches on throughout the 50 states, black people disproportionately. Because it's really going to be targeted at low income families, which we know in a lot of these liberal cities are majority black. And it's going to be very, very difficult for them to pay these fines. And then what is that going to do, family? That is going to exacerbate their financial hardship. That's what's going to happen. So a lot of these legislations, family, you know what? This illegal immigration thing is actually good for black people in this one regard. It's helping a lot of us to wake the hell up. We've been asleep too long. We've been letting these political pundits get in front of us and say, oh, stop the woke and all this stuff. No, we need to be awake. We need to be woke. Because some people are going to yell foul on this. Some people are going to believe it's not fair. They're going to look at the different complexities of the issues. And there are going to be unintended consequences from this because the policy, such as paying $5,000, parents will start avoiding seeking help for their children, for their behavior problems. That's what's going to end up happening. Because if Chicago's doing it, charging parents $5,000 for unruly kids, New York is going to do it. LA may do it, but they may not because it's mostly Hispanic now. Houston may do it. Dallas may do it. This is going to catch on with a lot of cities with large populations. But then we also, and we're talking about the drawbacks. We talked about the benefits already. Another drawback, well, this is going to require somewhat of a comprehensive approach when I think about it. Improvements in education, access to mental health services. You're going to have community support because of the money. The money should be, quote unquote, be going back into the community, but we know it won't. Those are going to be fat in the pockets of the politicians in that city. And then lastly, I think about the legal and ethical considerations of such legislation that's going to charge and be targeted disproportionately to Black low-income families. There should be some legal concerns there, fines, questions about due process and parental rights. But family, this is a result. This is a result of the long-term effects of living in an oppressive system, in an oppressive country. But let's be real, family. Let's be real. We love America. America is our home. Now, some of you may not love it as much as I. So that's why a lot of you guys go over to the Caribbean, go over to Africa, go over to other countries and live. But more times than not, people come right back to good old racist America. This is the country of our forefathers. This is the country of our inventors. This is the country of our civil rights leaders. This is the country of our master teachers of Black empowerment. Because we love America. Black people are the moral compass of America. We're definitely the moral compass of America. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that news story about the $5,000. That was just quite ridiculous. Okay, that was quite ridiculous. And hopefully you guys checked out my last video about the strategy of not voting. Okay, this is also part of house cleaning. The strategy of not voting. Some people have already commented and said all sorts of things to me about that's stupid, that's asinine. If you don't vote, then you're willing to fall for anything. Can I ask the family something? Us voting, the Generation X, millennials, how has it helped Black people? Who voted for Obama? I voted for Obama. Did that help Black people? Oh, let me ask that question another way. When Obama was in office, what was the group that was mostly affected by his policies? Well, let me tell you. Native Americans, Hispanics, Asians, people who identify as Jewish, immigrants, LGBTQ. That's about it. We was not in the equation, family. And I'm going to tell you, we fell for the trick bag the first term. Did we not? Did we fall for it? We voted for Obama thinking, some of us thinking he's going to give us reparations, right? First Black president, he's going to give us reparation. Even though he told us in 2008 during one of his town halls that he wasn't giving us reparations. But we thought like he got to say that, right? And a lot of times we start explaining for people, well, he has to say that because, he can't just go up there and say that he won't become president. We made the same excuses for Obama the second term. You would think, okay, this is the second term. He's going to write an executive order to get reparations off the ground and direct cash payments. I'm gonna tell you right now, family, and a lot of you may hate me for saying this, but I don't think Obama identifies as black. Even though he was on a Tom doing a morning show around 2008 and 2009, and Tom Joyner said, "Hey y'all, this is the first black president." And on the air, President Obama said, "Don't call me black. Black has no standing at law." That's what Obama said. So he goes by the term African American, which supposedly he was born in Hawaii. Never mind. But if anything, he is African American. His father's from Kenya. I think his mother from like Iowa or Kansas somewhere. But we need to understand that he didn't do anything for us. But there's going to be a lot of people, especially people who are not Foundation Black Americans, telling you that the best thing for you is to vote Democrat. Then you're going to have your black will-to-do folks to tell you vote Republican. And then you have me in the middle telling you the strategy of not voting, the strategy of declining the black support from the Democratic Party has been working. It's been working. It's been very effective. It's been all over the news. Support from Black America is declining the Democratic Party. It's been working. So you see them getting all of these celebrities in front of us. They're like, oh, black people, they love rappers. Let's get some rappers up here and start talking about voting for Democrat. And it's been working. They gave P. Diddy, the keys to the city of New York. More symbolism, family, more smoke and mirrors. None of these are tangible. Having all of our black, beautiful, intelligent women in the office of the presidency. Oh, look at the black representation. Representation and symbolism coincide with one another. It's a nothing burger. Your black people as a whole are not getting anything out of that. Here's the thing for my black coons out there. Why is it okay for Asian Americans to receive a protected class status, but not Black Americans? See, making Black Americans a protected class technically doesn't cost the government any money. Even though when they sign the executive order and put it into law, of making Asian Americans a protected class, they put money behind it. Right? The only thing that's going to assist us with when people are calling us the N-word, when people are calling us monkeys and all of these racial tropes and derogatory things about us, they're going to be labeled as a hate crime. And they're going to get longer prison sentences, which is going to discourage people from racially attacking us, whether it be verbally or physically. That is the importance of making Black Americans a protected class. And then some people will argue, a lot of constitutionalists, oh, well, you get the rights under the Constitution and the laws, it has not been working. And if it did work, why didn't they tell the Jewish people who have been harmed by the system of white supremacy? Why haven't they chose the Asian Americans who've been harmed by the system of white supremacy? Why didn't they tell those groups that before they signed executive orders and passed into legislation protections? That's the question you should be asking yourself. That's the question you should be asking yourself. And I'm tired of all of this white splaining for other groups and us not being solely focused on our group. On my TikTok page, I'm trying to grow a TikTok page, y'all, but I had a black female to comment off one of my clips, and she was talking about, we don't have no open border policies. Yes, we do. People are not just saying these things. She was trying to quote Trump, but literally in the lines it was stated that government officials, Customs and Border agents were taking illegal immigrants, bringing them into America, and have them in these little holding facilities for 30 to 60 days, and then literally releasing them in America. I've heard people state that they are pro illegal immigration and pro immigration. And I tell people the truth. I am anti illegal immigration. You come into America and you go by the right way, then I'm all for it, right? But when we look at this big problem, there's a lot of things that's occurring around our communities, around our neighborhoods. But again, there's some self accountability that we must take. And I don't mean them invading our communities. I don't mean them gentrifying our communities with illegal immigration. I'm not saying that because this is what it's about. It's about gentrification, right? But there's self accountability of us doing what we need to do to be successful, right? It's very easy to blame everything that's going on: racism, illegal immigration, funding other countries and other groups for their wars and their everything that's going on in the world right now. But there's a self accountability, there's a self awareness, there's a self governance that we must take of ourselves. If while we demand and speak truth to power at the system of oppression, but even in the system of oppression, we see that even though we live in an oppressive state, there's still opportunities for us to do better, to live better, to be better. We live in the most powerful country in the world. And believe me, family, you can go online and you can take all sorts of courses. You can make yourself more marketable. You can make yourself more valuable to certain job markets. So we can't just be waiting around for reparations. I'm just waiting for my reparations. Just waiting on my reparations. Yeah, them young boys out there, they got a task force. They got a task force out there. We can't just be sitting around waiting for reparations, family. We have to be a unified group because all these other groups I've named, believe it or not, they're more unified than they are separate. They're more unified than they are separate. Let me tell you, these political parties have done a great deal on black people. They have separated the minds of the lower class from the middle class from the higher class from the rich class of black folk. That's one division. They divided heterosexual black people versus black people in the LGBT community. They divided us there. They divided passive black people from aggressive black people. They divided what some people like to believe they're Democrats, black people from Republican black people. They've divided us on a religious basis. We got Christians, we got Catholics, we got black Jews, we got Hebrew Israelites, we got black Moors, we got black Muslims, and everybody is infighting. And all these other groups I named, you don't see none of their mess on TV. You don't see none of their mess on social media. We have to do some house cleaning, family, and it starts with us. If we're the most oppressed group, and majority of us can accept that, then we can also accept us being unified. There's no power, there's no movement without unification. 'Cause that's all when people are saying on code, that's about being unified. It doesn't mean agreeing to everything. It doesn't mean that black people are monolith. It doesn't mean that we walk and talk the same. No. It means that there are some specific things on the table, on the forefront, right? That is blasted to the world of what black people need and when black people owed. Even Cat Williams, I released on my video the other day how Cat Williams are even speaking about reparations. That's a good thing, and that's a bad thing. It's good because if we get more entertainers, more people who are famous to be more outspoken about reparations, there's a high probability they can push the system in the right direction to start getting these payments out. Number one. Two, this can be a ploy to have certain entertainers, certain athletes to talk about reparations, because for the past 60 years they've been talking about reparations. Then, right at the last moment before the general election, start encouraging black people to go vote Democrat, encouraging black people to go vote Republican, and there's nothing on the table. There have been shown reports that the black voter turnout has been declining ever since 2018. And most recently, study came out, it's been declining ever since 2022. So if you notice, right before President Biden came out and stated that, oh, we have these funds that we have to use for the border wall, all of a sudden, prior to that, he let 500,000 Venezuelans in, Afghanis in, Ukrainians in, people from South and Central America and Mexico in. All of these places. All of these places. He's allowed them in. Refuge. Asylum seekers. And do you think the federal government has the capacity to do an investigation of refugees and asylum seekers and have them in these facilities for years because they allowed them in? And a lot of these people have to be vetted. Their situations have to be proven. Oh, I'm fearing Guatemala for political persecution. Were you in politics? No. Was you part of the state? No. Okay, what was your job? What did you do in Guatemala? Oh, I was a farmer. So the political system in Guatemala came out to your farm and tried to lock you up and try to kill you? Well, there's a lot of bad things going on in Guatemala, and eventually it's going to reach me. I want y'all to think about this. Think about this construct. You have all these Central American countries, South American countries. They are migrating illegally to America. What happens to their country? America becomes overpopulated, and their countries become depopulated. I just want you to think about that. So yeah, family, I didn't want to be before you long. There's a lot of things that we are dealing with, but I just wanted to take some time here to do some house cleaning, to say we must focus on ourselves. We must do for ourselves. There's a two-sided fight. We have the inner fighting of the black community that we need to get together. We need to really start unifying, getting ourselves together, helping one another out. What time is it? Oh, it's 9 o'clock? Have a good night, son. Love you. So there's a lot of things that we have to do personally, but on the forefront of America, you have people who are speaking out, right? Your influencers like myself. You have people who are influencers as well, part of the grassroots reparations task force. You have advocates all over the place, and these are the people that we need to support. The people that you see on TV, these politicians, those part of the congressional black bootlickers, they're not doing anything for black people. It's those people who are reparationists, who are trying to run for the Senate, who are trying to become governor, who are trying to become mayor, that these political parties are putting bought and paid for bootlicks in front of us. And these are the ones that are being marketed and advertised to get these positions in office. And we keep falling for the bootleg, for the trick bag. Because here's the thing: don't forget Larry Lightfoot or Lori Lightfoot, whatever her name is. She got ousted, right? She didn't pick up another term. Now you got Brandon Johnson, and he's supporting illegal immigration because Chicago is a sanctuary city. Can 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 I why can't the citizens of Chicago vote and say they don't want to be a sanctuary city? Why can't the city of Chicago vote for truancy for the non-truancy fines of $5,000? Because if that legislation passed in Chicago, family, let me tell you, that legislation is going to pass in other Democratic run cities where they're going to fine parents $5,000 for your kids acting a fool. But we love America. We don't want to leave America. Our answers is for us to stay here and be here. If we go to Africa, you're gonna look just like one of them. You're gonna look like this one of them, right? There's gonna be some people with some hairlines back here, but most than likely, because when I went to Ghana, when I went to South Africa, I saw people who look very similar to me, right? There's a striking resemblance. Family from a DNA molecule, yeah. We our ancestors, generations past are from Africa. But we have to understand that we are a different people. I'll leave you with this. There's generations of white Americans over here, and they identify as American. They don't identify, well, my great 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 grandfather, he was Irish. He came over here in 1908. You see what I'm getting at? We're still trying to hold on to these labels that don't benefit us. Calling ourselves African American doesn't benefit us. It does not benefit us. We do not relate to Africans on a cultural level. We only have the striking resemblance of our look, just as well as white Americans. They have a striking resemblance of Europeans. But they don't go around saying, I'm Irish American, I'm British American, unless they was born and raised in Britain, born and raised in Germany, born and raised in Portugal, born and raised in Belgium or something, and then they come over here. But if their family been over here a couple of generations, they just are all American. I'm from Alabama. That's where I'm from Alabama. Where your family from? Oh, well, my sister, she moved down there from Washington State. Where are your sister from? Oh, we go a couple of years back. You guys are from Turkestan or something, right? First of all, as Black Americans, we can definitely say that our ancestors past are from Africa. What part? Right, I did an ancestry.com. I got Ghanaian in me, Mali, Nigerian. Man, I'm Senegal, Ivory Coast. I'm a whole mixture of different African. Then I'm 7% Scottish. 7%. I'm 7% Scottish. That's probably why I don't got no hair. Go figure. But family, we're different people from a very cultural standpoint. We had different experiences than African Americans, the true African Americans, those who were born in Africa, then came over and naturalized in America. Right, they got some citizenship in America, but they was born in Africa. Those are African Americans. Okay, we're not African Americans, but our gene pool does derive from Africa, such as everybody else. But of course, skin tone, features, etc. Definitely one of the first people on Earth. But anyway, I just want to kind of leave you guys with that message. I know I was all over the board there, family. Um, I give commentary Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I want you guys to be tuning in. I'm coming up with some new material. A lot of times, I like to be very structured because I've been on here all day, and I'm trying to really decrease my video time around 30 to 40 minutes like I am now. But nonetheless, family, love you guys. Support the channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe, like, and share. Let people know about the Black Empower movement, man. And this is really about strategies and methods and a mindset to help our people. This is nothing radical. This is nothing militant. This is a soft strategy of self-governance, self-awareness, doing for self, and then using the power that we have in this political system and wagering our vote and leveraging our vote. Like, no, you know what? We're not voting. Nope. You don't got reparations on the table. You don't have a black hate crime bill on the table. We're not voting. Simple as that. We don't care who wins. Well, if you don't vote, the orange man's gonna get back in office. So be it. He was in office before. We're still here. Oh, well, you sure you don't want Joe back in there? Nope. Joe ignored us. Kamala ignored us. They don't fucking care. They just care about illegal immigrants.